Ladies and gentlemen, the time has finally arrived. We are in the era where we can be online telling everybody how offline we are. This is it. We are truly in the end times now. Instead of carrying around just your smartphone, you get to carry around your 3DS, your iPod, your backup iPod, your dumb phone, your second dumb phone, a notebook, your camcorder, a digicam. There's just so much stuff now that we get to hold on to in our pockets. There has been a huge cultural movement lately where everybody is focused now on disconnecting more and going offline. And to me, this isn't like some revolutionary movement that some people are describing it as. I think this is really just the pendulum kind of shifting back a little bit after forcibly going in one direction towards the internet and digitalizing everything. Every single person that you know of now is on social media, like literally everybody, bro. I walk past my mom and she is watching the same Chinese drama reels on Facebook that I am still unsure if they're made by AI or not. Like I don't what is this? This is what she's watching, and she is eating this stuff up.
Why aren't you dead here yet?
And because of this nonstop, always online brain rot, that's mostly a result of, I'd say, short form content and just bad consumption habits. A lot of people who are chronically online, myself included, alongside, hipsters, are moving towards a brand new area of tech, the dumb phone. Just like the name implies, these are phones designed to be intentional. Some of them cut out social media and apps entirely. Some of them just kind of limit the apps, or others try to give you a form factor that's just simply less addicting and makes you want to use it as little as possible. Ironically though, this whole wave of anti-consumption has created a new wave of consumption. There are now more phones to buy in the name of using your phone less. And I can't lie, I am pretty excited about this. And that's because this whole dumb phone timeline feels very reminiscent of the era right before the iPhone came in and nuked everything. From about 2002 to 2007, phones were just ridiculous, man. We were getting sliders, swivels, flips, sideways keyboards, cameras that rotated for no reason. These phones would turn into Optimus Prime in the middle of using them, and it made no sense, but it was awesome. One of my favorite examples that I've never actually purchased on eBay has been the Nokia N93i. It looks like a normal flip phone for half a second, then suddenly it's like a camcorder that it's on its side. What is going on here? I don't know why we abandoned these fun formats, but the iPhone, it killed everything. But now, since people are starting to get pretty sick and tired of social media alongside the very, very familiar releases of smartphones every single year, there is a huge window of opportunity for these companies to strike in the smartphone space again. At first, the dumb phone scene didn't get that many products or newer drops because the purpose of a dumb phone is for it to be dumb and for it to be horrible. Like, you want the experience to be trash. That's the point of this. But the problem that a lot of people, myself included, found with using a dumb phone is that it's almost just impossible nowadays. We live in a world now where everything is just assuming that you have a freaking smartphone, dude. It doesn't matter your bank, your school, your work, your gym now. Why does every single gym on the planet require me to download this horrible app that doesn't even work properly, and it's designed like it's literal bloatware that I have to download to get to the QR code to get inside of the gym that I pay monthly to go to? What happened to key tags? Why do I need to look at this photo of myself every time I go to the gym? This is exactly why the dumb phone is starting to evolve. We are moving away from, devices that are basically unusable. And there are ways around certain things that I just mentioned. Like, you can always find a workaround mostly if you use a basic dumb phone, but it's just, I don't know if the juice is truly worth the squeeze. And that is what has created this brand new wave and movement that I'm going to talk talk about today, the hybrid devices. These are things that are trying to give you a dumb phone-like experience that's more focused and less distracting, but still let you access all of the modern features that you require to live your life. And this whole area has actually just gotten a big surge of energy because of a brand new announcement from the Clicks company, the Communicator. This is a brand new device that, in my opinion, it's the first attempt at a mainstream swing of making this type of smartphone viable. It looks just like a BlackBerry, and I truly think this is the start of something kind of crazy and wacky. But before we dive into this specific device, I just want to yap to you real quick about why I'm genuinely so passionate about dumb phones, even though so many people online or on the internet might think it is like quite literally the dumbest thing ever. I grew up with social media. Instagram launched when I was like 10 years old. So by the time I got into middle school, I was already like reposting scary images on my account so that I didn't get haunted at 3 a.m. Growing up in this era right when social media launched, I found to be a very strange thing. These apps weren't nearly as addictive as they are now, but most parents at the time didn't really restrict screen access as much as they do now, because I feel like the information and just the overall understanding of social media itself was very limited. I mentioned it before, but I grew up with like unlimited screen time, dude. I could be a gremlin on my brother's iPod for as long as I wanted to. And, you know, to my mom's credit, she was working multiple different jobs, so she didn't really have the time to monitor what I was doing all the time. And mostly whenever she did see me on my brother's iPod, I was playing like Growl Online Classic and not looking at Instagram models. At first, social media wasn't an issue. It was just kind of something fun. But over time, as I grew up and aged with it alongside of me, some problems and insecurities started to form. Eventually, this insecurity would also lead me to have just way more paranoia and social anxiety. I think most people who consume the internet a ton and are constantly reading opinions and judgment from other people develop this, I don't know what it is. There's some like trigger of just, it's way too much self-awareness. From my experience, what this does is it gets rid of your like individual thinking and just replaces you with like the hive mind of the internet with whatever it is that you're interested in. So whenever you start looking at certain things, instead of judging it based off of your own morals and values and what you personally think, you start looking at it as if, you know, what would other people say about it? I've read so many opinions online and seen so much vomit on the internet that now I'm judging everything through the lens of the internet instead of my own personal beliefs and what I think is right or wrong. This weird thought pattern of overanalyzing everything can be very paralyzing, and I noticed it would bleed into my daily decisions. Like if I thought some girl was cute and I wanted to walk up to her, I honestly didn't have the confidence because I was afraid not only of the judgment, but I was far too self-aware to just shut up and go take a risk or do something ballsy. And I think a lot of it was exploited because of my bad habits on the internet and just consuming so much judgment and negativity and opinions on the internet. Obviously, there was some form of just a lack of confidence that I had personally, but I do think it was, like I said, exploited and heightened because of my chronic online incel behaviors. I grew up way too afraid of embarrassing moments, and when something embarrassing would happen, it would just eat me alive. And I'll give you an example here, okay? A couple of years ago, I was attending a birthday party for one of my friends that I barely even knew. So I kind of showed up outside of this dude's house, and I get out of my car, and I start walking towards the front door, and he ends up coming outside to greet me. And I'm like, okay, you know, I'm gonna have to greet this dude. I'm kind of nervous. I'm an awkward guy, so I'm already like thinking about how I'm gonna approach this dude. And then he like lifts his hand up to go in for a dap, and he's trying to dap me up. And I didn't know, you know, if you're aware, there's like multiple different versions and ways to like greet some dude. So like I didn't know if he wanted to go for like a classic handshake, or we're going for like the closed dap up where we like kind of lock our hands together, or if he wanted like a hug dap dap or what. I don't know what he wanted. So he approached me and he lifted his hand up, and then I lifted my hand up, and we dap each other up, our hands lock, and I thought he wanted a hug. So then I end up pulling away, but he was going in for like a closed hand lock dap. So then he ends up grabbing my hand, and now we're both just like pulling our hands in opposite directions. So then some tension starts to form, and eventually it gets released because I'm pushing for this hug, and my hand goes flying off in the other direction, and then two of my fingers end up going inside of this dude's mouth. Like I literally, my fingers flicked into his freaking gums and like popped out of his cheeks. And the worst part is that you could hear this all happening in real time, because he was like, "Hey, yo, what's up, Isaac?" And you could hear when my fingers entered his mouth and then popped out, and it was just the worst. And I remember when this horrible event occurred, instead of me like worried about this dude that I just like shoved my fingers into his mouth on accident, I was more stressed out about if anybody was recording me, because I didn't want this to go on social media. Like that was my first thought, instead of actually caring about the dude that this just happened to. This is the moment that I knew that it had gotten too far. This was around the height of like my full goon behavior, dude. Like this was when I was pretty heavily involved in esports, so my job relied on me playing video games literally for 8 to 10 hours a day. And of course, social media was also heavily baked into this job. So it was the perfect storm of absolute horrible online habits, and I was doing stuff like bringing my iPad into the shower with me, if you know what I'm saying. It was not a good time in my life. And this perfect storm of just like horrible internet habits and content consumption is what led me to the dumb phone. The Nokia 2780 was my first introduction into the dumb phone space. I bought this thing at Best Buy for around $60 to $70 when it was on sale. And, this is like the worst phone that money can buy, dude. It is horrible. But that is quite literally the point of the purchase. The build quality feels super cheap, but since it's all plastic, it is harder to break. I dropped it all the time whenever I carry this with me everywhere, and it's still fine. It might be one of the ugliest designs I've ever seen for a flip phone, but I bought this thing specifically to get off of the internet, so the aesthetic of it was not a priority for me. If it was, then I probably would have bought like one of those Japanese flip phones so I could become like a full hipster and embrace my inner James Scholes, but I decided I would rather just get the cheapest option that worked with my carrier in the US and look like an idiot with this flip phone. It runs isaaCOS, which is rancid, bro. The OS is so limiting and barely has any normal functionality. The best thing it offers is this baby like goo goo gaga version of Google Maps, and even this is extremely painful to use because you can look up places, but then it doesn't actively track your position while you're traveling in the app. Like the directions don't work. It was horrible. There's built-in ads in the software too, so if you open up a notes app, you're going to be greeted with some type of marketing, and if you didn't already hate using the phone, this is going to make you almost never want to grab it. I used it on and off for about a year, and I would swap my SIM card from my iPhone into the Nokia, especially whenever the addiction or the scrolling started to get a little bit out of hand, or I just wanted to disconnect, and I would mostly do this when I would leave my house. This type of technology can be somewhat performative, and people might think that they're like better than you because, I carry around a flip phone, but I can say from my own experience that it did make a difference and honestly reset my brain and help me with that like dopamine detox. Even though it's a buzzword, I was able to truly come back to a good foundation because of me using a dumb phone. The main thing was just the relief of my brain even having to worry about it. Like whenever I would leave my house, not having social media or an outlet to go online was nice, because instead of my brain thinking about how there might be a little chance that I could go back online, it was just cut out completely. Like there was no point in my brain even trying to figure out how to get online when I was out, because I literally didn't have a choice. I was using this nasty Nokia. I used the dumb phone at one of the best times too, because, I was pretty depressed. I had just lost my job. I had to move back to my grandma's house. I thought I was balding, so I shaved my head. Turns out I just, have a weird hairline, and maybe I am balding. I don't know. But I was in a rough spot, and the internet was not helping. If you genuinely are going through a rough time, in certain ways, whatever it is that you're consuming online, it will just make things way worse. The dumb phone didn't cure me. I didn't grow a better jawline or, ascend to another state of consciousness, but it helped me reset and reevaluate how I was thinking, what I was thinking about, and then build a better foundation moving forward. The problem is that as my benefits started to grow, my patience also shrank, because using this thing it just doesn't work. Once you build the foundation of not getting super distracted by social media, at a certain point, it just becomes stupid to carry this thing around unless I'm looking for attention. Living with a dumb phone for a lot of people just isn't realistic, and that's what adds so much validity from my experience to this new wave of technology that I've been trying to talk about today: hybrid devices. These are all very popular devices within the space that have flaws here and there, but for the most part, it's just usually Android running in a less addicting form factor. And of course, now that we've gotten these out the way, we have to mention the brand new up-and-comer that I'm genuinely so excited for, and that is the Clicks communicator. This might just start the trend of changing the mold with modern-day smartphones, so long as more people are willing to buy into the concept of a hybrid device. It got announced a week and a half ago, and you can see why it is resonating with so many dumb phone people, because it has a lot of the philosophy and design theories that some dumb phone users crave, which is an intentional design, physical buttons, and overall a design that works a little bit better at not distracting you so much. It's got a headphone jack, an SD card slot with expandable storage, a keypad, of course, that's physical, but also has swiping and a touchscreen sensitive buttons on the bottom, which is really nice. It does look pretty good, and it feels like they've learned from why other people are complaining about other hybrid devices and then packing all of those features into one single model. But there's some weird issues. For whatever reason, they're marketing this as a secondary phone. I don't know who's buying a $500 second phone unless you're rich, especially nowadays. If I'm spending $500, this thing better not feel like a secondary phone. Most people, at least from my understanding, are going to use this as a primary device. They've also barely shown this thing working physically. It's all been 3D renders and mock-up designs, and it doesn't look like they have an actual product yet that can do all of the things that it's talking about, which does concern me, especially now that they're opening up pre-orders for people to give them money while not showing you the device working and doing all of the things that it claims to do. And if this thing does cost $500, runs Android, and lets you install all of the apps that we're trying to run away from, then it kind of poses the question, is this actually more freedom, or are we just simply purchasing a fancier looking cage? And the answer is kind of both, I guess. A lot of people really despise this technology because they think it doesn't actually address the problem, which is, willpower and your discipline to just not use social media in the wrong way or get addicted to your screen. I do agree with this to an extent, but then at the same time, if I'm looking at somebody who's trying to lose weight and wants to eat better, I think that they shouldn't be buying any junk food and keeping any junk food in their pantry at all. If I've got Chester's hot fries in the pantry, bro, I'm most likely going to eat those things and then turn the toilet into a bloody battlefield later on, okay? A lot of other people will also just make the claim, just delete social media. Why do you need a dumb phone or something else? Get the social media off of your phone. And I do think that works, and for most people it can work, But then at the same time, if we go back to our previous analogy, if I'm trying to lose weight and not eat junk food, you know how difficult it would be if I had like a free McDonald's store in my house that I could walk up to and get a Big Mac for free anytime I wanted to. I just had to go to the store and get it myself. That's the same thing with the App Store. It's always on your phone, so the temptation to download and install these apps is always going to be there. It's really just a spectrum. Depending on how bad your habits are and what you really want to change, you might need to enforce really strict boundaries on how you consume and what you consume. Meanwhile, other people might not even struggle with this at all and are able to fully dive into the water of social media and not drown. What I like about these hybrid devices is it does a bit of both. You've got slight encouragement to use your device smarter and healthier, while also giving you all of the options that you would need to survive in your work life or normal day-to-day with a smartphone. But with all that being said, it's so hard to recommend anybody buy a hybrid device because of the price point. I mean, $500 for a device like this when your regular smartphone basically can do the same thing. You could set up your modern day iPhone or Android phone or whatever you have to be less distracting and more minimal. There's like dozens of tutorials on YouTube that will get you into the weeds. And if you customize it enough, it might be too much of a hassle to revert all the way back to what it was before. So this could work, but you still have access to the McDonald's window to just re-download everything else either way. I also think this area and market of distraction-free tech is extremely dangerous because a company can essentially just serve you a horrible underbaked product that doesn't even work and then claim that it's supposed to not work because it's purposefully a downgrade. And that to me is a very scary territory to be in and to purchase as a consumer. If you're buying a product that's like supposedly worse and not as addicting, you know, that's where, like I said, you could be getting exploited very easily. And I do see that happening with newer and newer products coming out in this like anti-social media wave. Either way, I don't really have an extreme viewpoint on either side. I just really believe in the ability to choose for yourself. And I like having the option to choose a form factor that is different and encourages more of the behaviors that I align with personally. That's why I have a lot of problems, you know, with certain social media platforms. Like I love YouTube long form and I think it's amazing, but then I look at short form stuff and it does concern me because I'm not even choosing what I'm watching, bro. I'm getting forcibly fed by some algorithm what to watch. And you can make the argument, you know, long form, it does give you recommendations, and in a way it is guiding your eyes and what you click on, but you ultimately still hold the decision of what to click on. And that's why it resonates so good with me and so well with me. I'm a little bit hypocritical here, okay? I'm a YouTuber, I make YouTube videos, I make online content, but I also grew up in the era where a lot of the online content was much more of like the grassroots, dude. Jerma 985 single-handedly shaped my entire childhood and is the reason why I fell in love with online content. Watching him and Star destroy TF2 and make goofy videos is why I love making these YouTube videos and online videos myself. And I believe that this area can still thrive and be as beneficial and awesome to people who consume it as it was back in the day. We just have to deal with the influx of all of these predatory platforms and other, I guess, content formats that are popping up left and right that might take your attention off of the true good source. All right, I'm in the middle of editing this video and it's kind of gone off the rails a little bit. We started talking about dumb phones and now I'm just yapping about the right and wrong types of content. But I hope that it's not coming across super holier than thou. Like there is really no right and wrong content. It's just whatever it is that you want to consume and you enjoy consuming, then that's all that matters, dude. There's studies coming out talking about brain rot and like what you should consume. And if you're on TikTok for 5 minutes, your whole entire day is ruined and your productivity is just in the gutter. I really don't think it's that serious, but I do enjoy the conversation a lot because subconsciously we change what we're watching and we don't even notice it half the time on what it is that we are watching. So the dumb phone kind of space, whether or not you're a fan of it, I think it's fun to at least just take a step back and be like, okay, how do we address this online content stuff, and is there really a problem here and there? And we've got countries now like banning social media at a certain age, which is like, I never thought I'd see this happen, and then now other countries may or may not adapt it. I don't know. It's all like up in the air, and everybody has a different opinion on it. But like I said, the only thing that matters is just if you're enjoying what you're watching. That's literally it. It's really not that serious. And I still enjoy YouTube so much. It's truly an incredible platform. It's just weird now that we're seeing stuff like this, and then I don't know if you guys have watched a Mr. Beast video lately, but like the intro of it is just holy.
Take off your blindfold. I just trapped these two strangers 100 feet in the...
Yeah, I don't think I'll be able to compete with this. I'm sorry.
Violent, that's what we show, not private. Better keep to yourself, stay silent. If it come to the wealth, get violent. Start riots, violent. This why my money, my outlet. Only show my colors on out.